Welcome, everyone. This is Our Android Week with Alan Furstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Cadeas Kalut in Newport Beach, California, and in Menifee, California, Pam Adger. This is Our Android Week. Good to have you with us. I'm Dan McDermott, your host in Bentonville, Virginia, the other Bentonville with no Walmart. Okay, our first story is some leaks about the Samsung Galaxy S6 and the Galaxy Edge, Alan? I can't remember what is it called. It's the Edge from Samsung, right? And it's
I think they were calling it the S6 Edge or something like that.
And I guess this is the one that Bruce has, or he has the Alpha. I'm not sure which, but I guess the Edge is the one that has sort of a side vertical screen and some proprietary apps in traditional Samsung fashion. And apparently this is going to be, I guess the S6 is, if the rumors are true, and I think they go to a site with a fairly good track record for these rumor sites, the leaks, that it's going to be the fastest Android phone out there. And it's going to be, I guess the screen size is 5.5 inches. So this is the same size as my Galaxy Note 2, which in my opinion is a bit too big. But that's a subjective criteria at best. What do you think about this?
You know, we talked about this a little bit last week, and I'm still kind of in the, so what category. I mean, it's Samsung, so they're sure to screw at least some of it up. Otherwise, it's, I really have a large so what feeling about a lot of the crop of new phones that are coming out these days.
Okay. All right. It's yet another, big phone from Samsung. Phablets are clearly the trend. Do you think it's a lasting trend? Do you think people are going to end up with the same reaction that I did, that, I really like one-handed action, and most of the time, clearly for one-device people, especially young people like Bruce, who are traveler, sales folks, and they travel a lot, a phablet's a good option.
I think Bruce will be really happy to hear that you just called him a young person.
Absolutely. He's young and spry with a spring in his step. All right, so this other thing is, but do you think that the larger form factor is here to stay? Because Apple has, I don't know if did they break out sales figures for the Plus versus the 6 regular?
I don't remember, to be honest. I think it's here to stay. I think it's a good thing. Hopefully, they'll catch on that it's not the only form factor that's out there, because honestly, for a lot of people, it's a lousy form factor.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you're trying to balance a beer in your lap and you got a cigar going, you're trying to text while you're driving. It's hard, you want the one-handed operation. I'm just saying that in case Pam's watching, so she'll troll me. Safety first is Pam's motto. Okay, so we see here that Android crash rates are now lower than iOS. Fairly close, though. I think 2.6%. I don't know if they mean like 2.6% of the time something's going to crash.
I have no idea how they came up with these numbers, but honestly, they're talking about Lollipop, which means they're using an incredibly small sample size on an incredibly limited number of devices.
And they're certainly not factoring in the Nexus 12 from the original Nexus 7, because that frickin' thing, it was so crashed the other day, I couldn't even reboot it. I hit the power button and it was so frozen, I couldn't even turn the freaking thing off. And of course, you can't just pull the battery out like you can with some of the phones. So my crash rate's well above 2.6, I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting number, and if they apply it consistently, I think it's a valuable metric. It's an indication that Android has, with Lollipop, really stepped up their game a little bit to make sure that this was a quality release in a lot of ways. And Apple did exactly the opposite. So all of that's generally interesting, but I'm not sure I'd take, I'm not sure I'd treat these numbers as gospel in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, and then speaking of numbers, I see that an estimate of 720,000 has emerged from an analyst as the number of Android Wear devices that have shipped. And you hear all sorts of crazy numbers, like comparing it to the iPhone, etc., which isn't a fair comparison. A fairer comparison would be comparing it to how many Apple Watches end up being sold. But I think this jives because they looked at the Android Wear application in the Google Play Store, and it's between 500,000 and a million downloads. So 720 seems, a pretty good number. Is this a surprising number, or what you expected, or meh?
I'll be honest. I had no particular expectations for pickup rate on Wear. It's still a device. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Wear. I love the devices. I love the concepts, but it's still an unproven concept. And especially since it doesn't have the brainwashing features that Apple has with theirs, or will have with theirs.
Okay. All right, and next up is the OnePlus. The Chinese manufacturer OnePlus has historically done flash sales, where when they have inventory, they put it up on their page, and people are like F5ing or whatever to refresh, and then when they're sold out, they're sold out. And they've had an issue, I guess, building them fast enough. This is a fairly high end as far as quality, or fairly high quality but low end price, and they've been giving Samsung a run for their money. And I guess this is a cyanogen phone, or what is it? I can't remember, Alan. And don't you have one? Or haven't you had experience with one? You got one in your hand there.
I do have one. It's my primary phone these days.
Really?
What was that?
Oh, I just said really. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's my primary phone. I mean, it was an incredibly good price compared to the Nexus devices, which were not. It was incredibly good build compared to the Nexus devices, which were not. And I wouldn't go with any phone that really wasn't essentially, a pretty straightforward Android phone these days, as opposed to the Samsung devices, which were not. But it's been a great phone. It's been solid. I've had no problems with it whatsoever. We've seen people that have had problems, and they've had problems with customer service. But the biggest problem that OnePlus has had is their supply has just been abysmally stupid. These honestly, I think these Tuesday flash sales are ridiculous. Either sell the phone or don't sell the phone. Don't go with this silly, on sale every Tuesday when the moon is full. Get it in now. I think it's gone beyond creating buzz for the phone, and it's gone beyond creating buzz for the phone, and has essentially ended up just making them look ridiculous.
Yeah, if it's become cliche, then it's but at least they're organizing their cliches to regular intervals, so there's that. Okay, next up is LG reveals the LG Watch Urbane, an Android Wear watch with looks to battle Apple. And I'm very impressed. This is a very attractive device. It looks like a nice, well done thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this article up here. And I'm not worried about it because I've cut off all monetization on these things. That's a whole story there. So here's the watch. It's gorgeous. And I guess it's Android Wear. Yeah, it's Android Wear. You see there, frankly, I don't think it matches what I've seen of the video with the Apple Watch as far as the look and perhaps the build quality. I'm not sure, but it's a gorgeous timepiece, and I think I like seeing folks try to make the hardware match the expectations of folks like Craig Shipp, who are actually into watches, not necessarily smart watches, but actually like a nice watch and a classy looking watch. And there you see the businessman sipping his coffee, and then you see the lady with this gigantic Android Wear watch on her wrist. That's one thing that Apple did with theirs is it comes in a smaller size. And that could be either for a woman or it could be for someone like me or Cadeas who are kind of small in stature. Made up for by our intellect, of course, and prowess. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about this Urbane watch. What do you think, Alan?
Looks like a watch.
We're on the same page.
I like the Wear devices. I do think they look cool. I think this is a nice, refinement in what's been going on. I'm glad that these companies have been iterating quickly on these devices, but I've got a hard time getting really excited about some of them.
Because of the hardware or because of Android Wear in its current post-beta limited functionality, or because both of you guys are fans, but you've both been friendly critical of its current state?
No, I mean, I think my criticism of the devices as they come out has been that, each one, they're nice gradual refinements. They're doing a good job at trying to elevate, the state of the design. I do think design is very important, but there's got to be more to it. There's got to be substance behind it. And right now, Android Wear, none of these watches are giving the compelling reason for why they should be used. And I'll be honest, I'm going to say the same thing about Apple as well. The Apple Watch has given one and only one reason why people should buy it. Which is not why people will buy it, but why people should buy it. And that one reason is one thing that Android Wear doesn't support yet. That said, however, all the Android Wear devices have given several good reasons why people should get them. I think Wear is still a better product, and I'm glad to see that the design is beginning to follow suit.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so there you go. All right, next up is HTC. There's a couple stories here. So we've talked about the good stuff, and now let's talk about some of this controversy. About companies that are releasing devices that it's being framed as ditching Android Wear or whatever. But I think the issue here is, we're going to begin with HTC. I think the issue is Android Wear is really restrictive. And they have to, they can't do any bloatware and that sort of thing. So the companies are like, well, it's just a feature spec race. And if we create our own smartwatch and we have some Android compatibility, maybe some iOS compatibility via Bluetooth, etc., via apps, then we can really differentiate ourselves. An approach that Samsung and others, HTC and others, have taken with their Android phones, much to the chagrin of some of the users who want the more, regular interface. But the first story here, HTC could be the next Android partner to ditch Google in smartwatches. So what's your reaction to that? And what's your why to that?
Well, the why in this case is I think HTC makes a very valid point that there are other phones out there besides Android phones, and they want to be able to support them. So they want to be able to support iOS, so they need to break away from Android Wear. That seems to be the crux of why they want to do this. Because at least the article, which is essentially just one big rumor, doesn't present any other features that this watch is going to have that doesn't have any features that this watch is going to have over any others. But,
okay,
it's all rumors.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say, Don Key, I know you're watching. Send a Hangout message to Alan or a post or something so he can see what your profile picture looks like. So we know,
because we can't find you.
We can't find you, and I apologize because we both promise we'll circle you. We'll put you in our low volume crazy person. I'm just kidding. So we'll both circle you. But if you could do that, and you know why. Okay, so. All right, so the next one that's a companion story to this is that Asus Tech may leave Android Wear behind on future smartwatches. Kind of the same
You know,
thing.
their argument is it's a different argument. It's interesting in its own way, but I think the interesting point from this article, again, it's full of rumors. It's got no solid information whatsoever. But its final point is along the lines of, Android Wear hasn't created the compelling reason to use it, unlike Apple Watch, which essentially the only reason why you'd want to use an Apple Watch is for Apple Pay, which is an argument I'd support. That's about the only good feature of the Apple Watch that I can see so far.
Now,
But this one, it's full of rumors. It says they don't even know what the rumored device is going to be. It just has a code name. Okay, yippee. And it may or may not use Android Wear. Admittedly, I think Wear's got issues. I don't think you're actually going to see most of these companies leaving Wear in flux because they're just not going to have the support for it. They're not going to have the developer support for it.
in preparation for this, because it's snowing outside, our pipes are frozen, and I basically didn't have a whole lot to do today. I watched the 10-minute video, which appears to have been narrated by Johnny Ive or some other British-sounding person, about the Apple Watch to try to compare. And they talked about a lot of esoteric stuff about their inspiration, blah, blah, blah. And there were a lot of neat apps and stuff on the screen, but it appeared almost like, is this vaporware, or is this, at what stage of development was it when they announced it? And so your point is well taken that, we'll obviously in the wild we'll know when it comes, and it should come soon because they said in early 2015. But what are your thoughts on the Apple Watch versus Android Wear and the reception they'll have?
The rumor is that it'll be out in April. The rumor is that the Apple Watch is scheduled for an April launch. And it was in a fairly advanced state of development because developers have had access to the APIs for it for a while now. But, I think the Johnny, clearly Johnny Ive has no idea what he's talking about on this one, and it's really questioning my opinion of him in general. He talked a good game, but it was clear that he didn't understand what a watch was. And fundamentally, that's what we've got here. We've got something that is beautiful and elegant and worn on a wrist and has certain characteristics about how people interact with a watch. We've had 100 or so years of how people interact with a wristwatch. And Apple is trying to change that completely and try to convince us that they're not changing it completely. I think in this case, this is where Google actually did a much better job at understanding how watches are used, why watch, how this wrist form factor is important, and honoring that tradition. I think Apple is playing lip service to that tradition. But like I said, I think Apple's got some very significant things in their watch that will make it popular. But I think the biggest reason why it will be popular is because it's got the Apple name on it. Not because it's a quality product. Not because it's a good product.
Gotcha. Okay, so there. It's all rosy for Android Wear. Okay, next up is a topic that Alan Furstenberg will dish about. By the way, Alan wrote a book. It's called Designing and Developing for Google Glass, co-authored by our friend Jason Salas, the anchor of KUAM TV, KUAM News in Guam. And it's at O'Reilly Media. If you go to O'Reilly.com, I think you can check it out. Or just Google designing, just Google like Google Glass book Alan Furstenberg and buy it. I bought it. Can you believe they made me buy it?
Made you buy it. Oh yeah, we really twisted your arm there.
What, did it kill you to shoot me a PDF? No, I bought it. I just bought it
Yes,
to be a guy.
we're not allowed to. We weren't allowed to do that.
I was being a guy, and I bought the book, and I was happy to buy it. I think it was on sale, right? I got it for like $30. I don't know, but anyway, it's the only glass development book out there by Alan Furstenberg and Jason Solis, so you should snap it up. So anyway, okay, so glassware is not dead yet. New glassware streams to YouTube. Tell us about this, and tell us the history here, because when it was initially unveiled after months of rumors, and at I/O, Sergey, co-founder Brin, jumped out of or he and his buddies jumped out of an airplane and did this big thing, and then they took away the video functionality. What's the deal?
Sergey was standing on stage. He didn't do any jumping that day.
He was safe.
But yeah, so there has been since last month, when consumer sales of glass were suspended. A lot of people have been, pounding the death knell for glass. But there's been this trickle of additional glassware that's been released since then. I guess about a year ago now, when Google did, no, it would have been more like 6 months or so, when Google did a major refresh on the version of Glass. No, it would have been a year. I apologize. So about a year ago, they upgraded Glass's underlying Android operating system from 4.0 to 4.4. And in doing that, they removed one of the major features that people really liked, and that was being able to stream to Hangouts. Now, they did it for a number of reasons. Stability, battery life, heating. There were some good reasons why they stopped it. But a lot of people really liked the feature. One of the pieces of glassware that's now come out is restoring the streaming feature, not to a Hangout, but being able to stream directly to YouTube Live. Jason and I tested it a little bit, talked about it some, and we're actually pretty impressed with how these guys did the work. It works fairly well. It's got really good battery consumption, especially compared to how Hangouts were working. It's supported directly through the MyGlass installation, so you don't need to do any bizarre side loading or any other bizarre installations for it. It's a serious proof that Glass can be used for live streaming video, and I think it's a great demonstration. It's got bugs, but it's proof that the Glass can handle this sort of thing.
I guess obviously there's a merging or there was a merging that has occurred between YouTube Live and Hangouts, but YouTube Live clearly is a superior video quality. Did that show when you were streaming?
No,
and
it doesn't.
Testing?
It doesn't in this case. In fact, it's being uploaded at a lower resolution than Hangouts did from Jason's tests. It's also different than Hangouts because it's one-way only. It's a video upload only instead of Hangouts, which was a two-way video system. So
Okay.
it's not directly comparable to Hangouts, but it demonstrates, one of the things that that Sarah Hill has wanted to use Glass for was for, remote newscasting. And this is a demonstration of one way that could be done.
When you say streams to YouTube, you're talking YouTube Live, not you record a video and it goes to YouTube. Or are you?
When Jason tested it, he was unable to find the URL immediately, so we weren't sure. But our understanding is that it will stream to YouTube Live.
Okay, because there's a dramatic difference. In fact, if you look, just to illustrate the difference, right now, Alan is coming at us via a Hangout, and you're on a Mac Pro, right, with a pretty good internet, or a MacBook Pro or something. What do you want? Oh my God!
I'm on a MacBook Pro, yes.
Yeah, he's on a MacBook Pro, so he's on a fancier computer than I'm on. I'm on a 3-year-old HP from Costco, $1,000 computer, and I'm on YouTube Live. I'm streaming directly to YouTube Live via Open Broadcaster. I have Wirecast and I have this, and Alan is coming via Hangout, and the difference is just night and day. So that's what I was curious about, if there was an improvement in the quality from the device. So, okay. All right, next up is unlocking your phone through a carrier officially got easier. There's an article from The Verge on this. And this was something that I guess this was started. The Librarian of Congress issued an opinion that said that based on the law that it was illegal to unlock your phone without the carrier's permission or the manufacturer's permission or somebody's permission. And there was a public like, whoa, wait a minute. And then I think President Obama and congressmen and senators said, yeah, we got to fix this. So they fixed it. And so this is one of those dates that happened. Apparently all of the carriers have some version of allowing you to unlock your phone, and have for several months. And now there's a new industry-wide agreement that mandates that, and this was as of February 11th, to adopt the unlocking standards. And the agreement mandates that carriers post clear unlocking policies online. They offer to unlock prepaid phones within a year of purchase and postpaid ones after a user's contract is up. They respond to any requests within 2 business days and unlock phones for deployed military personnel. And all the major carriers have had unlocking policies for some time, but this standardizes them and makes clear that unlocking should be a right, not a privilege. So, is this a big deal? I mean, aren't we kind of going toward this anyway, or are we not? I'm not.
Oh, unfortunately, we're not. I wish we were. The concept of one of the reasons why I bought a OnePlus was because it was not going to be carrier locked in any way, shape, or form. But far too often we still have carrier locking. It's still a pain in the ass. I really wish we would get away from this faster than we are, but this is a nice small step in that direction, at least.
Have you unlocked your phones?
I have never unlocked a phone for the simple reason that the first smartphone that I owned wouldn't operate on anybody else but the carrier I bought it for. But it was a prepaid phone, and then after that I stuck with unlocked phones only.
Okay.
And that's a policy I dearly hope to maintain for the future.
I have never unlocked a phone because I've never had a need to. It's yet another thing to do that I'm not really sure there are negative ramifications, although Marcus Brownlee has a wonderful video you should check out. I've referred to before. And he's a young man. I think he's a college student, or he was last time I talked to him. And he does these videos, and he's really good at explaining stuff. And he talks about jailbreaking or unlocking a phone and why you should or shouldn't, and how to do it, and what the risks are or the rewards. And it's really good. It's like, just a few minutes, and it goes through all that. So there you go. But are there ramifications that you can think of, Alan, that it will become obvious to people that they can do this, that people who may not have known before that this was an option?
No.
You don't think?
No. No. People who didn't do it before will continue to be oblivious about it unless they travel internationally. It's about the only time anyone might care.
Gotcha.
Okay, and the people who used to do it before regularly will be the ones who are pleased by this, but they already knew about it.
So the techie geeks who are predisposed to do something like this already knew, and the other people are likely, they could care less, and it's not an issue.
More or less, yeah.
Okay. All right, so next up is the story headline is an app called Nokia Here for Android is updated, out of beta in Google Play. So I just want to see, this looks like I guess a Google Map competitor. I've not played with it. I don't know if you have, Alan, but in fact I don't know if we've talked about it, but I can't remember. But here it is. Any thoughts on this?
I haven't played with it, but you have to remember Nokia actually used to be the biggest provider for mapping software and mapping information. It was big. It used to be bigger than Google, bigger than anybody else. They were providing their data to Bing, to a number of other companies as well. And this was software. I believe that this was actually some of the software that got left behind with Nokia after it got sold to Microsoft. So the fact that Nokia has now had to figure out where they're going to make money with it, this is an interesting move.
Yeah, I've never seen it in the wild or heard about it, but it'll be interesting to play with it, I guess, and see if it's all that. And I looked at the reviews. If you go to the reviews in the Play Store and you sort by newest, which can often be more telling because they're not sorted, they're definitely the newest version reviews. You see a lot of 4 and 5 stars. I mean, I see stuff like it won't open or I can't download, but other people who are using it, one guy's like trolling them because, you can't download Pakistan, and they said that it's only, they're working on other countries. But I see a lot of highly rated reviews for the newer version, so, maybe it's worth checking out and seeing what you guys think. And we will enjoy your commentary on that in our comments. Okay, next up is Outlook. Okay, a couple Microsoft stories here. I've heard good things about this, Alan. The headline here, Outlook for iPhone and Android is a powerful productivity app. This is the Walt Mossberg review. And he really likes it. It's a scaled-down version of Outlook, which is the somewhat historically clunky Windows thing that lets you download email and respond and has some other apps to it. But I'm hearing really good things about this. And although I'm hearing that it's better on iOS than it is on Android, but I don't know if you've played with this or not, but it kind of, I guess, has similarities to the Inbox app, which I played with and then stopped using because I was getting dual notifications. It was just a pain in the ass, and I was worried about losing an email, or it was like too much.
Yeah, hey, Dan,
go ahead.
You're like the 5th person to tell me they're worried about losing their email using Inbox, which I completely don't get, because I lose more email using Gmail than I ever have with Inbox.
Really?
Oh man, Inbox actually lets me find email,
but they're sequential,
as opposed to Gmail, which is guaranteed to lose it.
Gmail is sequential, though.
Oh, that's not exactly useful when I get 200 messages a day.
I mean, you'll get no sympathy from me. You know how many I get? I get probably 2,000 a day from my various accounts.
And you can find all 2,000 of them?
No, I have it segmented.
That you need in that 2,000?
I have it segmented. I have my WarrenCountyReport.com email. I have my, LynchburgTimes.com email. I have my Gmail, and no, I'm not telling you what that is, viewers. Sorry. The private one, and then I have like my areaguides.com email, and so I can go to various things based on what I have time to do. You've got to compartmentalize.
Well, that's what Inbox does for you. It automatically compartmentalizes.
But it only works with Gmail stuff. It doesn't work with my Yahoo legacy crap and my Gmail.
Well, you send your Yahoo legacy crap to Gmail.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
No, it isn't.
I have filters, and we have multiple users. It would take me 5 minutes to explain it. Gmail does not offer some of the functionality you get with a Yahoo Small Business email. Otherwise, it sucks, but it does have functionality where, like, multiple of us could be logged in. Okay, multiple of us, like, there could be the guy in North Carolina, the guy in Front Royal, somebody in Strasbourg, and they're all logged in as me in the Yahoo Mail. And so I only have that kind of stuff. So they're not able to log in as me in my Gmail, which I wouldn't want them to have my Google ID access. And we can, we have the folders and stuff, and they can, it's complicated, but it works. It's like the less shitty system versus the more shitty. Of the shitty systems, it's the least shitty. And upgrading's a pain. So... Anyway, that happened. Okay, so next up...
no, I haven't tried Outlook because I haven't used Outlook in 15 years.
Nor have I. I think I used it for like a week in the 90s or something. I don't know. But next up is Microsoft acquires Sunrise, and they're calling it the best calendar app for iOS and Android. So here's my question. The Google Calendar functionality is pretty good. Do you think that the third-party apps are something we should be looking at? Because I've always just sort of,
Yes.
you know,
Google Calendar is not very good. It's pretty bare bones, pretty minimal, and the latest changes actually take away some functionality.
okay.
Calendar is pretty lame. It's, the state of, it's basically a clone of Outlook from about 15 years ago.
Okay. Then why did they buy it?
Why did they buy it? Why did Google buy Calendar?
No, why did Microsoft buy Sunrise?
Oh, because
Wait, you're saying Calendar sucks or you're saying Sunrise sucks?
I'm saying Calendar sucks.
Oh, okay. All right, so Sunrise is something we should check out.
Probably.
Okay. All right, so one of the the other show that we do is Google Plus Week, which is every Friday at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on Fridays. And I wanted to ask you, I guess this was the story you killed, but I guess we talked about it last week, but I guess iOS is making some of their apps free, and I've never used any of them, but I'm very curious if
You mean Microsoft?
no, I had a story in here for Friday that Apple's letting you use some of their apps without
Oh yeah, I
an
will.
iOS
Yes,
device.
We discussed that last week.
So, but I'm just curious, how do you compare the offerings like Google Docs, which are obviously cloud-based, so you can't really compare that to a fully functional desktop application.
Dan, let's put it this way. Based on what Apple demonstrated about their iWork cloud suite, Google's Doc offerings are 20 years old.
Wow. That's beyond indictment.
Okay? I mean, we've had, it's pretty easy to collect issues that people have with Google Docs and Google Sheets. iWork blows it out of the water.
Okay.
Assuming what they showed was real.
And the relevance of this is that now, for the first time, in the past, you had to have at least one iOS or one Apple device, computer or phone, whatever, iPad, in order to be able to use the iWork suite. Now they're allowing anyone to use it, and I'm sure they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't think they could, nudge Google, get them back for the Apple Maps fiasco. That was fairly short-lived, I think. But now you have to create an Apple ID, but you can use these things. So I'll check them out. I'll see I'll see how they perform. A couple other stories we're going to be dealing with on Friday. Square is working to rely less on Apple's iPad, claims a report, and Google is also allegedly testing a new mobile payment service because they don't have enough mobile payment services.
7 mobile payment services weren't bad enough.
I think they like even numbers, so we need 8. Are they ever going to get it?
No.
But you can use Google Wallet or Google Wallet anywhere you can use Apple Pay, right? That's what we said initially when they first unveiled it, or is that accurate? Or
I believe so.
But I don't think... Is anyone using Google Wallet?
No, because it sucks.
Okay.
Really?
I tried to use it once at the grocery store or something.
Dan. I used to use it, and it was okay. Okay? I've tried using it again now that Apple Pay is out there, and it's gotten worse. I'm really impressed that Google has made this product even worse than it used to be.
That's some doing.
Yeah, because it was pretty bad.
So is Apple Pay being... I guess they said already 2/3 of all mobile transactions are done with Apple Pay, which is pretty impressive.
Actually, that's pretty bad.
Really?
Really. That means that 1/3 is using something else. I can hardly imagine what.
That's our nightly
Because it sure
mathematical
as hell
inverse,
ain't Google
folks.
Wallet.
Oh my God, it's a shame Cadeas is not here because he could join in your chorus of enthusiasm for Google Wallet. Um, all right, so to keep with the SNL 40th anniversary, Google Wallet is still dead. And so is General Felicimo Francisco Franco. All right, so two New York Times writers, kind of not hit pieces, but one was based on what an analyst said. But it was kind of interesting that they both came out in the same time frame. One was talking about Google's profitability, about investors wondering about all these moonshot things and are they going to pan out. And then the other article, which wasn't a companion article, but was just coincidentally or not coincidentally came out in the same time period, about the long-term viability, about the how tied they are to search ads on desktop for most of their revenue, a still impressive but clearly diminishing way to make money as mobile increases and ads suck on mobile. And I immediately leave if there's mobile pop-ups and crap. We don't have the attention span on mobile that we do. And also you're eating up people's data. It pisses you off.
Here's what I find utterly moronic about this, and what I find utterly moronic about Wall Street analysts, for that matter. Okay, on one hand, they're saying, oh no, Google is going to be losing money because search is going to be getting less and less money. And on the other hand, they're saying, oh no, Google is stupid enough to actually be investing in future technologies that they could make money on in the future. What the hell do you want Google to do?
True.
Analysts are morons. Details at 10.
This is in a totally non-analogous but semi-analogous, just to show people saying completely opposite things that both of which make sense viewed separately. So I saw that this some guy is tweeting about the Middle East. He said proof that intervention creates ISIS, Libya. Proof that non-intervention creates ISIS. And it was what's the other country? We didn't do anything in the. Anyways, it's polar opposites arguments. But I guess kudos for the Times for pissing everyone off. Something we try
what
to
do you expect from newspaper people? They're just all morons.
Yeah, and even worse, I'm a tabloid publisher. All right, so our final story coming up is entitled "To Succeed These Days, Authors Must Be More Businesslike Than Ever," and it goes into a lot of issues. But what do you think? What do you think about the general notion of one of the things they talk about is pop stars? They're not. It used to be they'd make money selling records, and touring used to be an expense you bore in order to sell the records, to promote the album. Now we're seeing a lot of publishers who are not making so much money selling the products because maybe they're cheaper or whatever, but they're in conferences and they're giving speeches, and it's almost like the book is a way to promote their live gigs. And then the other thing that they mention is a lot of authors are not particularly gifted in that sort of thing. A lot of writers are brilliant in their writing. M.G. Siegler comes to mind. Personally, he's not a type A, but in writing, he's 10 feet tall and bulletproof. What do you think about that interesting analogy? Is that BS, or I think they're onto something there, and it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah.
Okay. Says the author of Designing and Developing for Google Glass, the co-author, with another tall guy who's better looking than both of us. All right. Any final thoughts, Dr. Furstenberg? We have two programs. One is called Google Plus Week. That is every Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, Fridays. Google Plus Week. And here's Alan going just completely bonkers. This program is called Our Android Week. It is every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. You have to be impressed. We started almost on time tonight. The regular viewers, I'm sure, are applauding in unison. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm doing a last check for any comments and on YouTube. We thank you very much for watching. We will be back next week. Until then, have an awesome, epic, badass Android week. Take care.